Good morning, everybody. Thought I'd do a quick video on my Ford odometer repair that I did just today. I bought this van. It's a Ford E350. It's a 97, and the speedometer was working fine, but the odometer wasn't counting. And so I went around a couple shops to see if anybody could fix it, and other than the Ford dealer, nobody would touch it, and the closest place that I found was 100 miles away. And so I thought, well, surely it can't be that complicated. And so a little bit of background information on these. The older models, like prior to 1991, had mechanical odometers that would just count off of a cable drive from the transmission. And so that's not what this is. Then in the I think it was about 1991, they went to a system where they use a electrical pickup on the back of the transmission and later on the rear axle. And the speedometer was electronic, and so was the odometer. And they used a either LCD or LED or whatever digital odometer. And those are, of course, pretty foolproof. You know, they wouldn't break because there's no mechanical components to them. Only downside is you have to have the ignition on to read what the odometer setting was, and I guess people didn't like it some reason, or Ford thought people didn't like it, or maybe Ford doesn't care what people like, I don't know, but they switched back to mechanical odometer, but they kept the electronic pickup. And so the mechanical odometer that's found in later 90s and up instrument clusters, this one, I'll show you this one right here. It's just a mechanical counter, just like the old style, but it's actually not mechanically driven anymore from the transmission. It actually has a little stepper motor, and so there's a little counter chip in the dashboard that counts the ticks from the sensor on the rear axle, and that's what drives the stepper motor. And so it's actually got a little motor in the instrument cluster that drives the odometer, and on that motor is a gear, a worm gear, and that's actually what breaks most of the time. I talked to a few people, and they said, yeah, it's pretty much every case they've seen, it's always that worm gear that drives, that breaks, and it's pretty easy to replace. This one I bought is from Dorman, D-O-R-M-A-N, and if you go to their website, you can punch in your specific vehicle, year, make, model, and they'll tell you what part number to use. And I think the installation would be pretty similar regardless of which one you have. Just to start at the beginning, the dashboard is the first thing you actually need to do is the headlight switch needs to be removed. And you have to reach underneath the dashboard, and on top of the switch here, you can't reach it from this side, but you can reach it from the bottom. There's a little button on top of the switch, so you need to take your right hand and push that button on the switch, and that's what allows you to remove the headlight switch. And I've done it many times. Ford's had the same system since forever, at least since the 50s that I know of. It still takes me 20 tries every time I do it, but you'll get it out. And then there's actually a little collar around this that you need to unscrew, and after that you can just pull it out. It's basically just held on with lots of clips. This is it right here. So it's got these clips here that's actually what holds the instrument cluster in. I don't think I found any screws. Oh, maybe here on the bottom there's 2 screws. I guess I forgot about that. So you need to remove these, or it's on the top actually is what it is. That's right. So there's 2 screws on the top here holding it in, and the rest is all clips. And so then once you have that out, then you're here, and the next thing you take out is there's this little visor thing in front of the instrument cluster. I think there's some screws there too, so you need to take that out. And then I think that all goes together. The screws go through here into the little thingy in the back there. So once you take that out, then the instrument cluster is loose. Also, the gear selector thing is, I got it out here. You basically can just pull it out at the bottom. You basically just, in a careful manner, just pull it out. Like it just slides out at the bottom. You just slide it down from here, and just make sure you work at it carefully, because it's all pretty fragile stuff. And then you can get that out. And once you have that out, then even this the odometer reset thing, you can just pull that out so it's out of your way. Also, you set your parking brake, and then you turn your key to the first stop after that, and that's what allows you to move your gear lever, move it to first gear so it's out of the way. And then you can pull the instrument cluster out. And it still takes a little bit of finicking to pull it out. And like I say, you see the gear selector there now. It just stays behind. It ties directly to the just as a mechanical cable to the gear selector, so you don't remove that with the instrument cluster. And these cables, like, they just have a little clip here. You push that down like that, and then you can pull it out. So you just pull. There's 3 of them on this one. You pull all that stuff out, and then you can remove the instrument cluster from the vehicle. Try it right now just to show you. It's pretty easy. Except when you're holding the camera, of course. Push that, and you pull. There we go. So the next step is that you need to remove this white cover. You see these screws, you need a little Torx bit or a small, it's probably some metric size, 1/4 inch drive. I just use a Torx bit, and there's a bunch of these little red screws that you need to take out. And then the motor's going to be behind here. You can kind of sort of see it from here, or at least I can. I don't know if it's visible in the video. I'm not going to take it apart again. I just fixed it, so I'm glad that it's back together. You might need to also undo this connector. This goes from the this is the little circuit board that actually controls the gauges and everything. You might need to also undo these screws and get this off, just to give yourself some more space. Now this connector, in order to disconnect it properly, you have to actually pull up on these tabs. There's actually a little insert on both sides. You probably have to take a little screwdriver and pull like in that direction towards where the cable is, and that'll release the cable. So it's like it wedges the little circuit board in there when you push it in. So if you pull that wedge out, then that releases the circuit board. And once you do that, this whole white back cover thing comes off, and then you can then the motor actually doesn't take any tools to remove. It just has like a 1/4 turn twist lock, kind of similar to how headlights work. You push them in and turn it a 1/4 turn to the right. I think this one actually you turn it to the left. I don't know, you'll see it when but you push it in and turn it and to unlock it, and it's all stuff that's pretty tight, so it doesn't rattle loose if you go on a gravel road. But it's at the same time it's pretty fragile, so that's what you want to make sure. Then once you remove that motor, the gear, you can actually just pull it off the shaft and push the new one back on, and then you can clip the motor back in, and then you just put everything back together, and that should be it. So it's just basic. Pretty much all you need is a screwdriver. So it's a pretty simple job. I don't know why people are so hesitant to to touch the stuff like this, because it's really not that difficult. But it is pretty delicate, so the main thing is make sure you don't break anything, because it's plastic gets old and it gets brittle, and then you just put everything back together. And I just drove a couple miles, and I reset the odometer, and I drove a couple miles, and so there it is, 2.5 miles is what I drove. So it's working again. So hope this helps you guys.